We're going to talk about red flags because it's one of my favorite topics of conversation and a question that I get a ton on my page. Something about when people find out that my Mormon return missionary husband of 24 years was cheating on me from the time we were engaged, which I didn't know until close to the end of our marriage. Something about that fact makes people assume that there were some red flags I missed. And you would be right in thinking that. So today I'm going to share with you one big red flag that I think if you see this, it's got to be over. This is something that I certainly didn't know to look out for when I was dating after my divorce, and something that I've heard a lot of women say they got burned by. Towards the end of our marriage, one day I was on Facebook and I had a DM from a woman named Tamara that I had never met before. So I clicked on the message request, accepted the message, and she just had one question for me. She had a screenshot of a photo with me and my ex-husband, Jake, who was my husband at the time. And the question was, how do you know Jake Brown? And I replied back, I'm his wife. Why do you ask? She responded to that DM by sending me her phone number and asking me if I could call her ASAP. So I grabbed my phone, called this woman named Tamara, and she was on the other end of the phone crying and said, I knew it. I knew he was too good to be true. I knew there had to be something going on beneath the surface that I didn't know was going on, blah, blah, blah. So here's the story. Tamara had met my husband on Tinder. And after going to dinner and country dancing at Whiskey Row and Gilbert and really connecting and feeling like they had something together, one night a friend of hers saw Jake in the restaurant that they had been in the prior weekend with the blonde, and that blonde wasn't me. And so she decided to get on Facebook and Instagram and do a little bit of digging and see what she could find. And the first thing that popped up was my Facebook feed from 2 weekends prior with a picture of me at Whiskey Row having dinner with my husband, Jake. We'd been together at that point for 23 and a half years. I'll never forget the sound of this woman's voice when she asked me how long we had been married, and I told her almost 24 years, and she was freaking hyperventilating, acting like she had gotten messed up with a psychopath, which she had. She told me that she'd been able to track down the girl that my husband had been country dancing with, the other girl. Her name was Kelly. She also lived in Gilbert. She was a school teacher. Somebody else had seen them buying boots at Boot Barn together like the weekend after that. She also told me that she had tracked down 2 other women that my husband, Jake, was dating. They all lived real close by to our house, too. So that was great. Before we got off the phone, I asked Tamara if she would screenshot and send me the photos from Jake's Tinder, which she did. And as soon as I got them, I realized she had completely overlooked every red flag in the book. I accidentally deleted 4 out of Jake's 5 pictures sometime in the past 6 years, but I still have this one left. And this was his May Tinder profile picture. And in this picture, you can see that clearly there is a woman behind the scenes in this man's life. He's sitting on a little soccer chair by the side of a field. What is likely to be at that field? He doesn't have a beer in his hand. It doesn't look like he's at some professional concert or some professional sporting event. Looks like it's probably some type of a kid's football, soccer, little league game. It was our youngest son's soccer game. And right over to the side, you see this Victoria's Secret pink blanket that's clearly in his space. Like his chair is almost set on top of it. And I don't think that looks like his blanket. He doesn't look like the type of guy that would buy himself a bright pink Victoria's Secret pink blanket. So who's associated with that blanket? And then down here in the corner, you can see my itty bitty little finger taking that picture. This isn't a man who is taking a photo of himself. This is a man who is at some type of event with a Victoria's Secret blanket and some type of a soccer field, and somebody with her little peak in the air, holding the phone, taking a picture. very likely somebody who thought that she was in a relationship with. First time they met, this camera would have realized that it was a brand new current photo. That was his current hairdo. That was the current length of his beard. He probably wore those same stupid shorts and tennis shoes on their date. Let me tell you what the other photos looked like. One of them was him in our big bathroom mirror. And in the reflection, you could see two toothbrushes. One of them was a teal, one of them was a light pink. You could see all kinds of Clinique makeup in the reflection and um, face cleaner, women's type of soap. Behind him, there had been a towel rack with two towels, not just one. Bachelors only need one towel. Two towels. They were both a womanly color of like jadeite. And my bathrobe was hanging on a hook just over his shoulder, visible behind him in the picture. One of his other photos was just him standing alone, but it was clear that somebody had been cut off the side because it only had like half of his arm, a little bit of his ear was like chopped off, part of his hip was gone, and then there was a lot of blank space over here. So clearly somebody had been cropped out of that photo. Again, a very recent photo that looked exactly like he would have looked on their first date. There was a picture of him sitting on a couch, which was a crate and barrel couch that had a rolled back and tufted upholstery. It had very female cushions, one of which his elbow was on, and some type of a throw over the arm. There were also paintings and some candle holders on a little shelf visible in that photo, all of which looked like clearly there was a woman living there. The last photo had been one of him by the side of our pool at our condo complex, and while he was alone on the chair and the towel right next to him was very neutral. I think my beach towel was just like taupe or tan or something like that. My purse and my pink water bottle were visible in the shot, sitting right underneath the chaise lounge. And you guys, Tamara hadn't picked up on any of that while she was flipping through Tinder. So, what should you look for? When I was dating, I have to be honest, I was kind of put off by the guys that looked too manly, like the kind of douchebags that all they had in the photo was their dog or a picture of them on a bike or motorcycle, driving their truck, paddling a boat, whatever. It just looked so manly that there were times when I was more drawn to somebody who had a woman in the photo whose name was blacked out, or some of those like cut off type of things where it looked like they were at a family event. So I made the mistake too of swiping on a guy who had stuff in the background that I didn't even zoom in on and really analyze. But I just knew that subliminally there was something about his home, something about the way he dressed, something about the look on his face that appealed to me. He seemed really approachable. And he was really approachable. And as we got to know each other over the phone and then via safe FaceTime, I felt really connected to him until the day that I heard a woman's voice in the background. And he put me on mute really quick and then came back and said, I'm so sorry. Yeah, my wife just got home, so I'm going to have to let you go. And I realized that I had been scammed, and that was like the only time that that had happened. Ladies, let's talk. You do not want the guy who has any type of female stuff in the background because either he's still in a relationship or he's too closely connected to that relationship to be dating material where you want to mess with him at all. It's the guys with the dogs, the guys that maybe their sister or their mom or their grandma are in the photos, but that's it. Those are the guys that you actually want to get to. If he is so freshly out of a relationship that he hasn't even had the time to take a selfie with just him, where he doesn't have to cut her off, that is not your guy. By the way, my ex-husband married one of those 4 women that he was dating towards the end. And to this day, she has absolutely no idea anything about anything and very likely doesn't know that he was literally still married when they met, as he has kept us apart and made sure that we had 0 conversations in the 6 years that they've been together. And as you're on those dating apps, don't just look at the beard and the big smile and that cute face. Look in the background. What's back there? Might there be a